I'm forgetting. There was one other. Oh, yeah. Let's close on sexual insecurity around older women, because I'm sure that a lot of the guys, the intimidation factor isn't just around their greater amount of life experience, but also their greater amount of sexual experience. If you're a young man and you've only been with a handful of people and you're dating somebody in their mid 30s, there's a good chance that she's been with, lots more people than you and done a lot more different things. So, Chris, would that be one of your concerns if you were dating somebody older? Today, man.
Hey, Mike, pretty good, thank you. Always.
Yeah, I hear we have a question for me today.
Yeah, that's right. We get emailed questions every now and then. You can leave comments below on YouTube or email us at info@infinitemansummit.com. And we have one come in that was asking about dating older women. Specifically, the guy used the term cougar.
Cougar dating, how to date older women. Okay, we actually get asked this question pretty frequently. But before I get into it, one more way to interact with us is to leave us a message on Anchor. So that's download the Anchor app from the App Store, search Infinite Man, and then there's a little button that says message, and you can leave us a very easy message that we could respond to inside the app and in this podcast. But to the topic at hand. So we get this question not as often as we should, really, because I think that younger guys should be more interested in older women than they seem to be. What do you think, Chris? You're 30, but that 30's still young, and it's about 6 years younger than me. What's your interest level in women? Let's say women that are 10 years older than you.
Yeah, I would actually advocate that based on the fact that for a long time I've felt that I was more mature than my age. I realized getting drunk, partying, and doing that kind of thing wasn't for me. I did my time of blackout drunk, waking up in vomit, and all of that. And frankly, I don't like the girls that still do that. And you'll find that a lot of the young party girls, if you're after those 21-year-olds, the girls that have just turned legal drinking age here in the USA, or around the world, different 18-year-old girls, they're into things that I'm not, and I don't quite have the things in common for those type of girls. So if you do want maybe a more mature girl, you should probably look into someone who's a bit older than you.
Yeah, but I think I agree, and we'll go through like a pros and cons list of dating older women in a second. But I think that, I mean, you're 30, I'm almost 36. I'm pretty happy to say that as I've aged, my tastes have aged with me. So while of course I'm always going to be attracted to the youth and beauty, we're just men, of course that's always going to be just baked into our DNA. But I've also been able to find women in their 30s, 40s, even 50s attractive as I've gotten older, and also as I've spent more time around older women in a more sexual capacity. But I do remember when I was younger and when I was in my 20s, if somebody was like, hey, Mike, you're 22 years old. I got a friend who's 36 and she, thinks you're really hot. You should go on a date with her. I think I might have been a little hesitant about that. What about you?
Yeah, I can definitely see that at a young age, like 20, 22. The people that are 36 years old seem like they've had a whole nother lifetime underneath them. They might have, at 22, you're probably not owning your own house. You possibly haven't had an opportunity to start a family and had those long-term relationship experiences. So someone who's 36 might have had a lot more life experience than you, and that could be intimidating if you wouldn't know how to deal with all those things. So yeah, I could see why that would be intimidating to a younger guy.
Yeah. Well, actually, let's launch into like the pros and cons list of dating an older woman, because the intimidation factor is definitely one of the cons, I would say. If you're a young, because I mean, really, this question is being asked by young guys, so this response is going out to young guys. We're not usually talking about a 33-year-old has questions about dating a 46-year-old, right? We're talking about guys in their 20s that are thinking about dating women in their 30s or perhaps even 40s. So I guess the definition of cougar, where would you put the definition? Because it's been getting younger and younger to the point where now women in their low 30s are considered cougars by guys in their 20s, which I think is inaccurate.
Yeah, I guess it used to have the stigma of you remember American Pie and Stifler's mom. It used to have that kind of 50-year-old vibe to it, but now it seems anyone could be termed a MILF as soon as they have children. And women are having children at 18, 21, any age. Yeah. So are they still cougars?
So MILF, with the operative word being mom, I think that is sort of an ageless thing. Like it used to like MILF came as a reference to Stifler's mom, and she happened to be also a cougar. So I think that's where maybe there's a bit of confusion. Right. But like, yeah, you could be an 18-year-old MILF, you can be a 48-year-old MILF. It's the mom part is the operative part. But cougar, I think that if you're calling a woman a cougar and she's in her mid 30s and she hasn't been married yet, and she I think that's kind of insulting, maybe. Like I think it's aging a person up when they don't need to be, when it doesn't need, like, I don't know, if there was a term for like older person that applied to men in their mid 30s and someone called me that, I'd be like, hey, I feel pretty fucking young. I'm a young man. Like, I don't want this moniker. I can see it insulting women.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Don't make a big deal of their age, that's for sure. And one thing you'll find is that if you try and remember this, I learned it quite early on about grandparents. When I was a real young kid, grandparents just seemed like old people to me. Mm-hmm. And anybody that kind of 60 plus in their 70s even, they were just always old. I just imagined that they were always old. But when you think about that, they were young kids. They went through exactly what you did. They did all these kind of things that you are currently going through. They've experienced it all. And if you treat them just like they're the exact same age as you and have a conversation like they're exact same age as you, they'll really appreciate that. They love being treated like a young adult. And and you should. What do you think? Do you think people should approach the same way when dealing with women that might be 10 years older than that?
Absolutely. I mean, I've got a unique set of experiences being part of the swing scene and the non-monogamy scene and the lifestyle scene, because I get the chance to hang out with a lot of older people in adult situations that are not work related and not based around some some vanilla activity. So we can be very upfront, very honest. So just this past weekend, I'm hanging out with one of our friends from the lifestyle scene that we've known the longest. And, I'm in my mid 30s and he's in his upper 50s, almost cracking 60. He's semi-retired as it is. And we're hanging out. We got tons of shit in common. He's walking with his wife. I'm walking with my wife. We're on the beach. We're having drinks. We're just chilling out and just talking about life in general. And honestly, the stuff that feels more important to me than what you would normally sort of struggle to relate to an older person, like trying to talk about career, trying to talk about, the different places you are in your life. So yeah, I completely agree with that. But let's come to the conclusion that, like, let's call a cougar somebody who's no younger than 38. Let's say 40s is cougar level. But somebody who's an older woman compared to a man in his 20s, if he's under the age of 25, I would say that starts at about like the 5-year age difference. Right? Would you say like if,
yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah. So there's 5. I'd say let's break it into like 3. There's 5 years, 10 years, and 15 years. 15 years or higher difference. I think that 5 years, if you're dating somebody 5 years your senior, there's probably not going to be very much difference unless you're at the early part of your 20s. So if you're 20 and they're 25, then there's kind of a big difference in what you can, in like where you can go together, renting a car, where, who can go to the bars and different age limits on things like that. But the difference between, say, 25 and 30, is practically nothing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think that comes out of college and high school, especially, and people would stick to their year group and, oh my God, he's dating a senior and all that kind of stuff. It seems like a much bigger gap when you're a lot younger.
Yeah. Yeah. So 5 years, not so much. 10 years, I think, is where you get into some of the, hold on a second. My light's a little low here. Let's see if that helps. Now I'm a little, okay. It's a little bit better. So 10 years is where I think you get some of the benefits of dating between the age groups, right? So if you've got 10 years between you and the person you're dating, either forward or backward, if she's 10 years younger than you, it's like time traveling back in time to when you were younger, except now you have more money and more of your life together than you did at that time. So it was pretty awesome when I was 28 and I met my now wife, who was 18 at the time. I was like, this is awesome. I get to relive ages like 18 through 21, all the things that I ever wanted to do, except now I have the salary of a 30 of an adult, you know? So that was great. And then if you're the younger person dating up, it's like you get an extra education in a bunch of things, like an early education in things that you would have never, it would have taken you a lot longer to do on your own. So, I mean, I know I've taught my wife so many things about life that's enabled her to avoid wasting time in certain areas. Like, she's way further ahead in her career than I was at her age. She's her ability to plan and strategize and think strategically and all that kind of stuff is way more advanced than I was at that time. So yeah, so if you're a guy and you're the younger person dating up, then you get an example. You get a positive, healthy example of how to live your life in the years that are coming up soon.
Yeah, you'll be able to find somebody that you might encounter somebody that has had a lot of life experiences in doing the things that you like to do. If you find someone with common interests, say travel, for example, you find someone that knows all the secrets about where to go in the different cities and traveling around, how to backpack around all these different countries. It can be a really wonderful experience to be there with them, share with them, go on these dates, doing these type of things that you wouldn't have got exposed to as somebody, 20 years old. You might not know how to make your way through Thailand, but if somebody's been there, done that before, they're a great resource.
Yeah, so, and at the 5 or 10 year difference, like, that's kind of perfect, because maybe I went to Thailand as a 21-year-old and I had no idea what I was doing. Now I'm dating you as a 31-year-old, and I know where I'm going and you don't. So you're getting the benefit of it, and then I'm getting to go back to Thailand, doing it right, and then with the fresh eyes of taking somebody who's having their first experience. So when I'm dating a younger person like that, that is the benefit for me. There's the mutual benefit, right? Now, if it's 15 years difference or more, at that point, the younger person is still getting the benefit of the life experience of the older person, but you're not necessarily able to do the same activities because the age difference might be to the point where, like, say you're 25 and they're 40. They might know how to backpack around Thailand, but they don't want to go anymore. They might be like, fuck that. I've been, right. I'm too tired. I don't want to do a backpacking trip in Europe or Thailand or Asia. So I guess that's one of the, so still speaking of the cons, there's the intimidation factor of being with somebody that's older than you, which that's a con that you should really just sort of get over. That's an ego issue, isn't it? It's a lack of social freedom. It's a lack of just being honest with yourself. You're not supposed to know shit. So if somebody else knows more than you, you shouldn't be intimidated by it. You should be like thankful that they're helping you with your stuff. So that's the one con. And then the other con can be, depending on the age difference, is it could affect your compatibility. It could affect the references, the frame of reference through which you view the world. And there could also be an energetic difference between the activities that you want to do and the activities that another person wants to do. But we've really been talking about this through the lens of like a longer term relationship. When it comes to just simply dating, and if we're speaking only from the frame of reference of young men in their 20s dating older women, then a lot of that kind of stuff falls away. We don't have to care about some of the extra stuff we've been talking about here.
Yeah, that's right. And I think that lends to the fact that you shouldn't try to act any older than you are, because if they're interested in you and there's a potential that you guys are going to date and see each other, she probably likes the fact that you're very youthful and that you have this advantage that you are 21. She probably had you. She is interested in that quality about
I mean,
you.
that's one of the pros. In addition to the education that you get, you can also make yourself a very desirable person, and you can feel a mature desire at an age where you're usually too early to feel that. So like if you're 21 and you're dating other 21-year-olds, you're getting that a 21-year-old's maturity level of a feeling of desire, which is usually pretty uncertain, pretty insecure. If you're I like to say if you're under the age of 24, if you're still in your the first half of your 20s, you're figuring a lot of stuff out. You're figuring out how you feel, how how other people feel, how other people make you feel after you do certain experiences with them. So it's rare that you're having a sober sense of pure desire that's just confident desire, where older women have that in spades. If they know that they want you, they know exactly what they want from you. They know that how to go about getting it, how to tell you with crystal clear certainty, and then you can be like, oh my God, wow, this is what it's like for a woman to be direct. And since we're the ones teaching people to be direct, be authentic, be vulnerable, it really serves you to be with a woman who's doing the same thing. And when you're a young man, nobody is really doing that because nobody's figured out how important it is, or they've even figured out how to go about doing it. That's why we have jobs. We're teaching young people how to do this. So that's another one of the pros there is you get to feel like a hot piece of ass. You, as a young man, you get to feel like a hot woman. You get to feel like the hot girl in class around the older women, the cougars that are like, ooh, I'm in my upper 30s, low 40s, maybe even 50s, and this young, strapping 21-year-old guy with all of the energy in the world. Because remember, guys, as you age, your testosterone naturally drops, your energy level naturally drops, and you just get a little bit shittier in bed. I mean, yeah, you can keep your fitness level up and you can do all that, but most of the guys out there are not maintaining their fitness. So your 21-year-old hips are far superior than the 40-year-old, 50-year-old, whoever else she might be dating at the time. So you get to basically feel like a porn star. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that at all. Yeah, that's one reason that they might be very interested in you. And how would you recommend to a younger guy that has made this decision, like, yeah, I'm going to experience older women? How would you recommend he go about that?
Right. So that's the crux of the discussion, right? How to go about doing it. So the biggest issue that a young man has to overcome when talking to an older woman is the social stigma around an older woman dating a younger man. So it's just there's a double standard, of course. When older men date younger women, people are just like, oh, that's normal, that's fine. When an older woman dates a younger man, people still have an issue with this. And I had one of my best friends dated a woman who was about I think she was 17, 20 years older than him. And he encountered that, people like if you see an older man with a younger woman on his arm, you're like, hey, good job. You see an older woman with a younger man, and you're like, what's going on there, right? Like you always sort of question it. So you need to be aware as the younger man that she's sort of weighing the pros and cons of, do I do something that if anybody catches me doing it is going to be considered a little less socially acceptable, right? But that brings me to something I like to say that I look for in women is a level of what I call sexual emancipation, social and sexual emancipation. So social emancipation is kind of their level of social freedom. How much do they not care about things like that? Like, well, other people might see us together and judge us. Well, I don't care about that, and I need to date somebody who also doesn't care about that. So I'm screening for that type of person. Now, if you're a younger guy and you're still trying to get your level of experience up there, you might not want to be as strict as I am when it comes to screening. You might say, well, look, Mike, I haven't spent time with those kinds of women, so I want to see what it's like. I'm not going to be as strict as you and be like, oh, you're not on my level, get out of here. So if that's the case, you basically have to look to address these concerns, look to put her at ease. Some people call it building comfort or whatever, but we're building specific comfort around this social judgment issue. And I think that one of the best ways of doing that is playing Captain Obvious and just calling it out. Just basically saying like, hey, you might be concerned about our age difference, but you shouldn't be because of blah blah blah. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it makes total sense. And they'll appreciate they've been around the game. Nobody wants you to beat around the bush. They'll appreciate you calling it out for what it is and being direct and honest up front.
Yeah. Older women are looking to avoid time wasters, needy guys, clingy guys, immature guys, and man, what was the other one? And drama kings. Basically, if you're going to be a dramatic guy, if you're going to be all the same reasons that women would avoid you for any other dating situation, young or old, except the maturity aspect is a lot more important. So she needs to know that you're a mature guy that can handle dating a woman, an older woman. Because here's another thing to keep in mind, guys: older women have lives. They have lives and careers, and sometimes family, sometimes children. So your value proposition, what you're offering this woman, needs to be something that is drama free and based all upside. It's pure fun, emotional connection, whatever else it is that you're planning on offering this woman, but there has to be no downsides to it. So that makes things a little bit more difficult because remember, she's further on in her life, while also having the same amount of freedom of choice that is inherent to being a woman. She doesn't have to sleep with you. If you're basically saying, hey, all I'm giving you is the offer of some no strings attached hot sex with a young guy, well, there needs to be a lot of physical attraction there. And there also needs to be a lot of fun that you're having. And you need to be demonstrating that you can handle yourself maturely around this person. And one of the best ways of doing that is sort of guessing what she's thinking by saying, hey, you're probably concerned about our age difference, but I want you to know you don't have to worry about me being needy, clingy, dramatic, blah, 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 because, and then you give her your reason, like, I'm really busy with school, or I've already dated some older women and, it's not been an issue. I've got you can be joking about it. I've got references. I'm housebroken. I'm potty trained, but you're essentially addressing the point without her having to make it first. And that sort of subcommunicates to her that you have a bit of an awareness and intelligence around what it is you're trying to do here.
Yeah, that's right. Because it is important to be honest and just have all these discussions about these points. Because, like you say, they've got a life, they've got a lot going on. They might have family that you might have to interact with. She might have a son that could only be a couple of years away from you. Like, there's a lot to deal with. So you want to be open and talk about these things and understand what she wants, understand what you want, because she might just be looking for a fling. She might not want a new father for her children.
Right.
She might literally just be wanting to have this physical interaction with you. So it's very important to both talk about it and know what you both want from it.
Yeah. Well, this advice is kind of geared. It's the same interaction whether you're looking for a relationship or you're just looking for a one night stand. But I'm sort of gearing this towards the guys that are looking for something more casual rather than a more in-depth relationship. If you're doing an in-depth relationship, a lot of the other issues of an age difference are going to work themselves out because you've decided, hey, it doesn't matter what our age gap is. I want to be with you for the long haul. So you're going to have conversations around all the things that you need to have conversations around. If it's just a casual dating situation, you might not have those conversations for a couple reasons. One, you might not know that it's important to talk about certain things. Two, she might not want to be giving you the wrong impression, putting extra pressure on you, making you think like it's more serious than she wants it to be. So you might it's really easy in all relationships to veer off track into a realm of guessing what the other person is thinking or feeling. The more you make an older woman have to guess, the less interested she's going to be in continuing this interaction with you. Yeah, there's the advice of like, oh, you want to play hard to get, and you don't want to be easy, and you want to make her chase, and blah 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 blah. What I found is that the older woman gets the less interested in any game playing or bullshit that you're offering. So the more direct you are, the better it's going to be. Like all the stuff that we teach, and we teach this to guys in their teens and guys all the way up to their 60s. But the older you are, the older you are, the older she is, the easier all of this gets. The more people appreciate a direct, straightforward approach to dating and not having to play any games or wonder what how the other person might be thinking about you.
Yeah, that's right. Definitely no games, no time wasting. Be upfront. Don't you got to have things in order and know what's going on. You don't want to leave things unplanned until the last minute. You don't want bring her back and your roommates there. They're not going to want
Oh,
shared accommodation, all kinds of stuff like that. So you do need to know you know what's going
that's
on there.
actually, you bring up some really great points. So like all of the mistakes that you might make dating a woman your same age are going to be even more glaring if she's an older woman. And some of the common mistakes that guys make, especially young guys, is not having a plan, not knowing what the date's going to be, not having a plan A, not having a plan B, not having their logistics figured out. If you take an older woman back to your apartment and you do not have curtains on your windows, you're not seeing this woman again, right? Like you need blinds and curtains on your windows, fellas. If you don't have that, if you look over at your window right now and it's just fucking blinds hanging there with no curtains around it, women are not going to be into that. You need to go get some curtains. Be a real person. Be a human being. Okay, don't act like you live in a fucking prison cell. So that kind of shit's going to be glaring. So if you're approaching an older woman for the purposes of asking her out on a date, know ahead of time what date you want to ask her out on, and that's advice that we give in general. So be like, hey, we're going to do this, this, and this. We're going to get to know each other. And then maybe if things go well, we can head back to your place and blah, 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 blah. Um, and just being able to lay that out there is impressive. And if you don't do that, it's going to be a big faux pas. It's going to be a big issue. If you don't have a place to take her, that's a question that's something you're going to have to bring up ahead of time, bring up early on and say, well, look, I'm 21. I live in a dorm. I don't have any place to go. Do you have any place to go? And that's a logistical question you're going to have to find out before things are getting hot and heavy, so you know where to go. That's not to say, now the other thing about an older woman is she tends to be more sexually experienced and therefore a little bit more sexually adventurous. So if you got no place to bring her and she has no place to bring you, there is a good chance that you could just find some public secluded place. You could be in the park, you could be in an alley, you could be in a car. Like, this is the woman who you might be able to pull to the bathroom at the club because it's her one night out in months. She doesn't know when she's going out again, and you basically said all the right things and convinced her that she can have some quick, no strings attached fun with you, and boom, she's down for the adventure. So this is the kind of value that we're offering. Fun, no judgment. You're always still going to need a bit of an emotional connection. You can connect emotionally on the fun, on the naughtiness, on the adventure. But if you go a little bit deeper than that, that's always going to be good. And also, older women, another pro of dating older women is because they tend to be so drama free. You can easily set up those casual situations where you can say, hey, look, I'm going to be free next week. Can I come over or whatever? And she's way more likely to give you straight answers, direct answers, be easy to work with, all that other kind of stuff. I'm forgetting. There was one other. Oh, yeah. Let's close on sexual insecurity around older women, because I'm sure that a lot of the guys, the intimidation factor isn't just around their greater amount of life experience, but also their greater amount of sexual experience. If you're a young man and you've only been with a handful of people and you're dating somebody in their mid 30s, there's a good chance that she's been with, lots more people than you and done a lot more different things. So, Chris, would that be one of your concerns if you were dating somebody older?
I can definitely see how people would have that issue. Yeah, some guys we always try and teach this out of people, but they have the hang up of numbers and they think that numbers mean things. and that oh no, she's slept with 25 people and I've only slept with 5. They're so much more experience than me. And I'm sure a lot of people do have that as a concern. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
But if you look at it over years, come on. If she's got 10 years on you, what do you expect?
well, it's not. Yeah, that's true. You want to expect that this person is going to have more experience than you, but it's incorrect to think like, well, she's got a ton of experience. I don't have any, so I'm going to let her down, or she's going to be disappointed, or she's going to be judging me compared to all these other things. Look, if you've been honest and straightforward, like we've been talking about, and if you've been a little bit self-effacing, you can laugh about yourself, you can make jokes about yourself, right? I know guys that are practically virgins. They've slept with, maybe 1 or 2 people, or maybe they're on a long dry spell where they haven't slept with somebody for 8 or more years or whatever, and they're looking to be with women that are a little bit more mature, a little bit more a little bit older, because they're avoiding a lot of the issues with the younger women. If you're able to tell that person, like, yeah, well, you've probably got a bit more experience than me, but I'm going to do my best, and I'm a good listener, so you just let me know what you need. Well, great. She's not expecting you at that point. She's not expecting you to be some sex god, some Adonis. That's not the reason she's sleeping with you. She's not sleeping with you because she's thinking, oh, wow, look at this 21-year-old that has all these crazy sex techniques. That's not what she's thinking. She's thinking, this guy is making me feel super desired. This guy is making me feel super attractive. This young guy is still desiring me, and the age difference makes me feel a heightened sense of desire because of that gap. And she's expecting you to be enthusiastic. She's expecting your enthusiasm, your energy. She's expecting you to not know what else to do except just fucking jackhammer away. That is what she's expecting. She's expecting what it is you're going to do. So you can relax about that. But the other thing is, older women know what they want in bed. They've had enough experience to be able to tell you, fuck me from behind for 4 minutes, tweak my right nipple, and slap my left butt cheek, and I'm gonna come. Right? They know. They'll be able to give you. If you're willing to listen, they'll be able to tell you the instructions. So you don't have to feel inadequate sexually, because she's going to help you out. And this is really one of the bigger upsides, because you're going to learn, okay, well, this woman definitely likes this thing. Maybe some other women will like it. I'll try it. Right. So yeah, I think we've gone through all of the pros and cons of dating older women, and how to go about approaching them, and what to say, or have we been too vague?
Yeah, I'd say you could probably mention there's the obvious way to find older women of an online dating profile where you can select the age range to search for.
Mm-hmm.
But what other tip would you give to guys that are seeking out an older female?
Well, there's actually online dating we completely glossed over, but you're right. With online dating, also your approach can be a bit smoother, because with online dating, as long as you're choosing pictures that make you look mature, so you're not in there looking, like drinking a bunch of red Solo cups with your friends playing beer pong. Like, instead, you got a good picture of your face, you got a good picture of you wearing a suit or something like that, just high quality pictures that make you look mature. You can search a woman based on her age, and then when you message her, you can say, hey, right off the bat, I want you to know that I don't see an issue with, well, anyway, you can say right off the bat, let me address any concerns that you might have about our age, and then go from there. So you're a little bit more likely to, you get to communicate a little bit more information.
Easy to
initially
have that conversation.
Yeah. But then in person, really, I mean, it's the same basic principles that we teach all the time. Approach anyone, anytime, anywhere, if they look interesting to you. And if you're looking specifically for older women, there's always going to be parts of town that attract different demographics. There's going to be, different malls. Usually the higher end the mall, like the higher end the stores, the older, the more mature the women that are shopping in there. So there's a place in Boston called the Prudential Center, and the majority of the women that hang around that mall are 21 or older, because you kind of have to have a career in order to afford the stuff that they sell there. There's going to be different bars in your town that are going to be the known hangout spots for some older women. High upper class hotel lobbies if you this was actually advice I got. If you're trying to become a gigolo, right? If you're trying to become a male gigolo, I guess there isn't. I guess gigolo means male, so that's redundant. It's all that movie, man. Deuce Bigelow, male gigolo,
Deuce
just ruined,
Bigelow, yeah.
just created redundancy. But yeah, high class hotels where you're likely to find traveling businesswomen that might be single, might be corporate executives looking around. And then, yeah, I would say if you're approaching somebody where there's an age difference is very obvious, you're in your lower 20s and they're in their 30s or 40s or something like that, calling attention to exactly what you're doing, I think is a really good tactic. So basically, you walk up to somebody, you're 21, she's 41. She's wearing a nice evening gown. You're wearing a suit because you've come prepared for what it is you're doing. You're going to walk up to her and you're going to say, "Look, I know exactly what you're thinking. I must be the waiter or something like that, right? You see this face, you assume I must work here. I must be your server, but I'm not. I'm actually interested in getting to know you, right? If she's at all interested in younger guys, because remember, some women are going to be turned off because of the social stigma, and some women are just not going to be attracted to younger men. If she's not interested, she's just going to laugh and turn away, give you some sign that she's not interested. But if she is attracted to you, well, you're starting off on the right foot. You're basically saying, "Hey, I know what I'm doing here. Just so you know, I know what I'm doing here," and that's a good foot to start on with anybody, let alone older women.
Yeah, that's right. Well, this is great. Say I've just found this video through Google, through YouTube. What if I want to talk to you more about this, Mike?
Oh, perfect setup, you salesy motherfucker. Well, you can just click on the link below in the description, fill out one of our training applications, and set up a free consultation with me. So we can talk about dating. We can talk about alternative relationship styles. We can talk about, deeper relationship questions. If you're already in a relationship, those are actually my favorite. I spend most of my time talking about dating and approaching, but really the meaty stuff is the relationship questions. So if you're interested in going from monogamy to non-monogamy, or even just becoming more sexually adventurous in whatever relationship you have, give me a call.
Excellent. Will do.
Well, that was a good conversation today, Chris. I think we hit all the pros and cons and how-tos when it comes to dating older women. What's a cougar? Who's a cougar? How do we talk to them? So yeah, until the next time we do one of these.
If we missed anything, though, leave a comment below.
That's right.
And we'll answer you in the comments or in a future episode.
Yeah, share your stories, ask your questions. Tell us we're doing a fantastic job. We love hearing that. And yeah, we'll reply next episode. But in the meantime, be ballsy.